They have a problem and you are selling a solution. In one case, it's a mat. In another case, it actually might also be a mat. Maybe there's problems is a dirty floor.
That's our social problem.
You never know. Entrepreneurship is interesting because you are putting your own resources in it, and you're in some cases you're like what's the word? You're putting like personal collateral in. You should never do that. You're putting you're putting your time. You have other things you could do. Sometimes it affects relationships. Look at how many entrepreneurs get divorces. It's insane, right? You're putting all these different resources in, right, in order for something. There is some idea that you have, and it's like you said, right? Like, some people, it is a positive thing. Like, I have such a good idea and I know I can bring so much value that, like, this is why, like, I'm working on this so hard, right? And for some people, it's like, yo, my life sucks. I need to get out of this shithole, and this is my way out, right? I think for me personally, it's interesting when we talk about like separating the personal life versus like the business. And it's like, at least for me, I've almost never been able to separate it, right? I'm low-key in the second lowest point of my life, and now I'm popping off with business, you know what I mean? Like, I'm working on podcasts, and I'm collaborating and stuff, and I'm putting in the work again into my life, right? So at least for me, inside of my life, I've seen that like my environment has been a huge driver in my business hunger, right? Of like, okay, like they say, right? Like, necessity is the mother of invention. Sometimes hardship is the mother of invention and entrepreneurship, right? But obviously, like, there are drawbacks to that, right? It's like if my environment and like how I feel about my life is what drives me to get off my ass and start working, right? Then it's really hard to just all of a sudden make that separation when things don't go well. And it's like, I keep saying I come back home. I work from home on all of my stuff, so it's like, it's not like I have a change in setting. It's like I fail on the same desk. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, what do you think about that? Like, do you feel like that is a positive thing, a negative thing? I mean, I can feel the effects of it. It's definitely negative. But what do you think?
So for you so that we keep this podcast like good and successful and all your business ventures good and successful, we just got to make sure that your personal life sucks and is terrible.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll work on that. We'll work on that.
Yes, sir.
No, that's really interesting. I think it's really valuable that you could even just go back in time and identify this pattern that you've had since grade 9. And I saw firsthand that pattern too. Like, you started your business ventures since high school, and you openly like were able to post about it and tell all your friends about it since grade 9. And I know that you see that as like a negative thing because you can't separate the two, and for sure that can be problematic, especially when your work life and your personal life environment is the exact same. It's like you're working from home, right? So it's hard for you to separate that when you're talking with your friends, right, and stuff like that. But from my perspective, I think that that can also be a really big plus, because for me, I grew up my whole life, my dad was in the business side of things, right? So since I was a baby, I was helping out with it. So when I'm with my friends, I don't want to talk about that at all, because when I go home, it's not like it was a negative thing or something that I didn't like, but I would learn about it all the time. It was all that I had when I would come home, right? Mm-hmm. It would just be a constant thing in my life. And when I would go to school, it would be like, or when I'm hanging out with my friends, I'm like, the last thing that I want to talk about right now is business, because I'm like, it's like shut up about it already, like, come on. But then when I learned to integrate the two, it was kind of like a really big building block for me, and it was a really big motivator for me. But seeing how you're able to already, you integrated the two since grade 9, like, but I think that the way that you did it was very authentic, and so that was just inherent to who you were. And I think that there's value in that as well, because I'm just now learning how to do that and how to even talk to people. And I even struggle talking to like friends if I'm like trying to make a friend versus how I'm trying to talk to a business person. I can't conjoin the two. Like, it's difficult for me. And it's not like I'm always trying to get something out. If I'm talking business with a person, I'm not always trying to get something out of them. Obviously, I'm trying to like become friends with them first. But in my head, I'm like, this is a business conversation. Yeah. And I can't conjoin the two yet. The only way that I can think to conjoin them is like, let me explain all my passions to you, like why I love this product. And I'm like, they can't sit there for that long and hear that about me. But I feel like you from the start have been able to do that. So I think that there's a lot of value to be had in that. And from people who you want to work with you on business ventures, it makes it so much easier for you, I think. Like, obviously, I knew you in high school and all throughout school, basically. So when you like would have propositions for how I could help you with these things, I was like, yeah, of course. It was like I was helping out a buddy, but it was like I appreciated like your mission and your goals with your business, and I like, maybe because I knew you, I was a little bit biased, but from the start I was like, it wasn't even a question. It wasn't like, oh, like, is this potentially like a bad business venture? Because usually that would
successful.
I mean, we don't have to look at the results of all of them, but from the start, it looked like, you know what I mean? Like, nowadays, especially, people are way more like questioning when people have business propositions for them. You get business propositions from random people all the time in weird Instagram DMs everywhere. We need some type of filter. Like, it's difficult. So people automatically are probably gonna respond with no, like, because they're trying to play it safe. They're trying to be careful. Yeah. But when I was talking to you, it's like I didn't have to sift through, oh, is this gonna be bad? Oh, is this sketchy? Oh, is this weird? It's like the way you would talk about it, that is you. That is your personality. So you can't really fake that. I don't know. Yeah.
No, I think that's a fantastic point. And now that you explain it that way, I see what you're talking about, of like intentions come first, right? And I guess it's like really leading with intentions. If people know your intentions, everything else is easy, right? That connected in my brain really well, because it has been like that, especially like with this podcast. The biggest thing for me in all of my podcasting like endeavors, there are other podcasts, please check out the Idea Industry podcast. I've been messaging all these professionals that I've spent the last 3 years networking with, right? And all of them are like, yeah, of course, please, let me know a time, whatever, right? That's 3 years of work, right? 3 years of staying like not looking for like what I can get out of a professional, but it's like, what can I learn from you? Like, I'm eager to learn about what you know. And they can sense that. And then when the time finally comes, that's like, okay, I actually do need something from you now. They're like, of course, you know what I mean? I think that's huge. I think that's huge for all people who are founders, entrepreneurs. Like, if you're a dedicated person, it's very easy to get like trapped inside that whirlwind of like, oh, but I'm a salesperson, so I have to sell, It's like, no, it's like, just be you. And then people love buying from people they trust. That is the golden rule inside of business. Most studies confirm that. Just the studies. I won't say what studies, but all the studies say people buy from those they trust. So it's building that. And where do you build trust? It's through authenticity and speaking with purpose. I mean, there are obviously bad ways of building trust, but the good ways that we should, stick to is building authenticity and just being your authentic self. So I would like to actually know a sales story of yours where it's like you had to like make that switch of like going from just like a salesperson that has a pitch and you say the pitch to like, okay, let me actually just like lead with authenticity and just be Olivia inside of this scenario. Yeah.
So like I said, I've been doing basically direct sales my whole life, alongside my dad. He has a lot of products that I've advocated for, and I've directly sold at different consumer shows and stuff like that. So I essentially have a booth, and I would do direct sales with customers straight on, head to head, like your typical old school, direct sales, that kind of marketing. So kind of my whole life I was taught this speech, like this pitch that I would give. I would see my dad do it. He would do like, he's your typical super cheesy salesman, right? Like all of the dad jokes, every possible dad joke, he said it, he will say it to you. You will also be convinced by it and you'll buy the product somehow. It works. Yeah. But anyways, you're a cheesy salesman. I learned that pitch. I didn't want to initially, but eventually I was like, okay, I guess there's money in this. So I would go to the shows and I would learn the pitch like word for word, and I would just recite it exactly the same dad jokes, exactly the same tone. It was brutal. Like my friends would come in, and I would die every time I would see someone that I knew, because I'm like, this is not me. Please separate this from who you know as me. This is not me. So I was at a show once, and I was working alongside my sister, and it was after a very, very cheesy pitch, and they didn't even end up buying at the end, and it was so bad. And I turned to my sister and I was like, I said it as a joke, but I was like, who was that? I don't know who that was. I hate the person I've become. Like, this is not me. How did I get to this point? Like, what led me to this point in my life? And I said it completely as a joke, but it was pretty true. Like, it was not me at all. Like, why are dad jokes spewing out of my mouth? Like, I don't know what's going on. It was scary. But yeah, so that happened, and that would be like a regular occurrence. Like, I would just keep on saying these things, then I would switch it off when I would go home, and I was like, the business stays in the business kind of, and I'm going home, and it's like, this is my personal life now. Like, that's not me. Like, let me get as far away as I can from that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got my money. Let me go home. Let me go to my friends. Like, we won't speak of it again. Yep. That was my mindset, basically. And that's fine. It made I saw the numbers from it. Like, it worked. But I always hated it, right? I was like, this is not me at all. So I would keep on doing that. And then I remember one day I was working and I was selling this doormat, right? It's a special doormat, okay? I could give you the pitch, save you the pitch.
The boot one? Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's called the Miracle Mat. Go check it out. Go buy one. Basically, my dad would always tell me the pitch, and one of the lines that he used was, he makes products, creates products, and distributes products that are meant to help people and make their lives easier. I always thought, okay, he's just telling the people what they want to hear. Like, of course, he's just saying these lines. Like, he's just saying words. Like, they don't mean anything. It just sounds nice. So I would say that line to people, and I never really thought about it before. And then I was selling mats one day, and this couple comes up to me. They didn't even want to buy a mat. They said they bought it like a couple of years ago, like multiple years ago, and they still have the same one. And they were going off on how they love the product so much, and it changed their lives, and it made it so much easier for them, and like, they're older and they can't clean their floors, and this mat like just completely changed everything. Another quick plug, whatever, it was their words, not mine, right? This is me talking, okay? The mats speak for themselves, I guess. But they left. For themselves, man. Hey, proof is in the pudding, okay?
Hey, bro.
Next time I'll bring a mat and I'll show.
Have it like hanging at the back.
I'm like, oh, it's right there. This my wall decoration. So weird. Yeah. So, but then after that, again, my sister was there at the booth with me. I was like, Anna, like, what? I've never seen someone go off about a doormat that much in my life before. Are they really that good? Like, what the? Like, I know they work. They're really good. I understand, but is it really changing their life that much? Like, what the hell? That was a little bit overkill, right? Like, they gotta have no life to be going off that much on the doormat.
Insane. But
then I was like, wait a minute, these do actually work. Why am I lying to myself? I know they work really well, and I've seen it. People are multiple customers. After that day, there was like multiple people that occurrence would happen multiple times. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe they are actually helping people. And at that time, I was kind of like in school at the same time for psychology and then social work and things like that. That was kind of like my passion. Whenever people would ask, oh, what are you doing? I would completely separate the two. I would be like, okay, I'm in school for my passion. I'm going into social work, psychology, those types of things. Because that's my passion. I really want to help people and work with people directly.
Yep.
And work with underprivileged groups and things like that. That was my passion, right? And I was like, but I also do sales on the side. that's just my money job though. Like that's just what funds my passion job. That's what funds
Yeah.
all the $1,000 I'm spending on school.
Yeah.
I completely separated the two, and I was like, these could never conjoin. Like it never even clicked in my brain that they could work together. But then I was thinking about it that day, and I was like, wait a minute, maybe these people, maybe that's not just a line that he says. Maybe these products actually are helping people, and I can actually integrate my passion and my personal morals into my sales. So once I started doing that, kind of what we were talking about earlier about like integrating your passions into your business life and your personal values into your business life, I'm like, once I was able to back up my business sales with actually what I believed in, my passions to like help people out, right? And to work directly with people, I was like, it's no longer like, this is more me now. Like this is helping me so much more. And once I started to integrate that into my pitches, I was able to adjust my pitch so it wasn't just me reciting word for word. It was me talking to people, connecting with them, and explaining to them, this is actually a quality product. This actually could help you, and I'm feeling good about helping you. And they can see that seeps through into your direct conversations with your customers, and they can see the authenticity, and they're way more likely to work with you, to buy from you, to listen to what you're saying when they can see the authenticity and that passion behind what you're saying. Like it really seeps out unconsciously into what you're saying and how you're saying it. So that's kind of my whole story. But yeah, it was a big switch for me, and it really helped me along my sales.
That's huge.
journey.
Like I feel like I've been doing sales as well. Like I think that's my entire career so far. Like ever since the 11th grade, like I was at Sports Check, and then I was at Foot Locker, then Adidas, you know. So like I've been selling stuff for a while, right? And it's like, yeah, it really all comes back down to like value, right? And like you said, that goes into every piece of life, right? You want to go into social work and you're doing sales right now, right? The common denominator is that you are bringing people value. People are coming to you, they have a problem, and you are selling a solution. In one case, it's a mat. In another case, it actually might also be a mat. Maybe there's problems is a dirty floor.
That's their social problems.
You never know. You
it's
know
where their mental ailments come
You know what I mean, bro? Like you step in and you see mud on your floor and you're like, oh my gosh.
It's your solution to mental illness.
That's what I'm saying. But
Therapy?
like it's therapy, right? Matt. But yeah, like it's all value, right? So I think in the overarching conversation that we've had so far, I think the biggest thing is that if you know you have value to give, then like when you fail, it's like, okay, but like the value's not gone. It's just maybe X amounts of people didn't see value in it, right? And it's like, okay, well, we didn't hit our sales goal, so I'll work harder to find the people that see value in this, or that actually do have this problem, right? But the problem isn't gone. The value isn't gone. I just need to find those people, right?
Exactly.
Or I need to find a way to get this value out, right? Marketing, whatever, right? That's a great way of looking at it. I think the hardest thing is just being able to find that balance, right? And know what like value you bring. Which is tough.
Introspection. It's valuable.